Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports Jedi Network channel. May the sports be with you, because I am the hero the Sports Jedi deserves, but not the one it needs right now. Long live Lexus King.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Heel of the Ring podcast here on the Sports Jedi Network. We have another special guest. Very excited to speak on classes in session, ladies and gentlemen. But before we bring in our honorary guest, let me say hello to my partner in crime, my co-host. What's up, Chris? What's going on?
What's up, brother? Yes, we are back at this again. The grind does not stop. Like I said, I've been excited for this one for a while. This is going to be another great conversation for you guys. So let's bring her on.
Hopefully, we are going to get a master class from the one and only, the Professor Amanda Fuentes. ¿Cómo está? Bienvenido. Muchas gracias. Welcome to the Heel of the Ring podcast.
Gracias a usted. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, it's a pleasure. Chris, I'm gonna give this one question first. Let me ask this one real quick. My question, seeing the way you love wrestling, what got you and made you fall in love with this beautiful art that we love to cheer, that's called professional wrestling, getting in the ring? What made you fall in love? What's your origin story?
So I grew up watching wrestling, especially during the Attitude Era. That was, my age range, in the 90s, early 2000s. And I actually got into wrestling as an escape from certain things that were going on in my personal life within my family. And I figured I did it as a way to try to learn something new. Originally, I saw wrestling as just a hobby, as a way to keep busy and learn a thing or two about it. And then essentially I was going to give it up and call it a day and just move on from it. But then I started to become hooked on it, and I started to really get into what it pertained and what it took to be a professional wrestler. And here we are 6 years later.
Wow. Chris, go ahead, Chris.
No, that I love that, because now you were once a fan, now you're actually in the business. My question for you is, what made you wanted to get into the training? How was your early days of training? Because guys, the professor is not a nickname. I mean, you are an actual teacher. So it's how was balancing university and wrestling? How were your early days of wrestling training? How was that experience for you?
So essentially, when I had started, it was right before COVID had happened. And then when we got into the root of COVID and everything was on lockdown, and I was living in New York at the time, school-wise, everything was done remotely. So it allowed me to sort of like just get in that training that I needed. And, I was very green. I didn't know nothing about it. I knew nothing about what it was like to take a bump. I had to learn all of these things. And it was like me being in school, because essentially when you get into training, that's what it becomes. It becomes a learning experience and learning to be able to do things the right way. And then fast forward after COVID, when things started picking up and training started to intensify, it gets harder as you move up on the scale. And it's kind of like when you think of school, it's the same concept. It continues to build each grade that you advance to until you graduate high school or go beyond that.
All right, I got that. I got this question: which schools and who is your trainers?
So I originally started on Staten Island, and then after COVID, I relocated to Florida. So I am trained by Devon Dudley.
Testify.
It was definitely intense. It definitely made me question my existence sometimes. And, with regards to the discipline that it takes to actually, be able to wrestle, it's quite an experience. It is something that will mentally press you and challenge you all the way to the very end. And there were days where I would go into training and leave crying because I'm questioning if I have the capability to actually do this. There were days that, you know, I would walk in and I just wasn't feeling it. And yet I still had to put on the happy face and try to go through with it. Definitely mentally taxing for sure. 100%.
And I was in Kissimmee. Am I correct?
The original school for them was in Kissimmee years back, but then they had relocated to Winter Park. So I was in Winter Park.
You were in Winter Park. You're right in my back neighborhood. I'm in Orlando. So yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's what the reason why, because I heard a lot of stories about the air conditioning in the one in Kissimmee from not having good air conditioning, the one in Kissimmee. And a lot of stories that, you know, of course, from great people have come out of that academy, or from Camille, from I believe Jessica Carr, yourself. So it's a prestige there to really, no pun intended, from the school that you went in, from your instructor, from Devon, and all the different instructors in that academy there. Great job there, and just getting you prepared, because he's gonna put you to the ringer. What is the greatest attribute that you say you got out of that? Was it psychology from the school, or you're able to bump, or just the mental aspect of handling being a wrestler?
Psychology for sure. Psychology is everything in wrestling. Doing things that make sense, creating storylines. Psychology is a very big thing, and more often than not, and it's not to, you know, be down on anybody that works the indies, because that's how we all started. So, you know, it's just doing things that make sense, and it's storytelling. It's all about storytelling at the end of the day, and how can you put up a good story. Sure, fans want to see people flying off the top rope. That's what they pay for. But if you can't tell a good story, guess what? They're not going to remember nothing. And that's the objective. So he definitely taught us the importance of psychology. He definitely taught us the importance of ring awareness. And he did teach me a lot. You know, in the time that I was there, he did teach me a lot. And it was definitely a learning experience in terms of the conditioning that it took and everything else every day, you know. And we're training inside a warehouse, and it's 95 degrees of Florida heat and humidity.
I know.
And, you know, we're going at it for 5 hours, and we're dying and dehydrated, wanted to pass out because it's just that intense. But it's all part of it. And it's all about mental focus at the end of the day, and how to get through it. It's all mental at the end of the day. And I had to learn that the hard way over the years. So it's very easy to give up and just walk away from it. And granted, not everyone can deal with it. It's very taxing, but yeah, he did teach me a lot. If there's anything that I took away from learning there, I did learn psychology for sure.
Awesome. I'm going to give this to Chris, because Chris, we have someone who wants some seeking advice, an inspiring wrestler that's on our chat. Okay, hi Chris. What Ethan his name is Ethan, and he's across the pond in England.
Yes. You know, I always like to ask these questions to our guests, because you guys are really doing it, and there's a lot of people, friends of ours, friends of mine personally, that, you know, want to get into this business. One of our good friends on the program, Ethan, reads in our chat. He says, "What advice would you give to new wrestlers who've only had a few matches and promos so far and are still trying to find their confidence and style?" Let me know if you want it to sound more casual, intense, or specific type of wrestling: indie, technical, promo, in parentheses, etc. What would your advice be to, you know, somebody like Ethan in our chat, who, you know, is an inspiring wrestler, you know, that wants to make it, you know, in this business as far as you have?
It's something. Promos are definitely important. You got to be able to cut a promo. And what I have learned over the years in cutting promos, it's short, right to the point, no more than a minute. A minute and a half tops if you absolutely have to. Anything more than that, it just drags on. And anything more than that just drags on, and it becomes wasteful. When it comes to matches and working on the indies, I have learned over the years that training never stops. No matter how good you may think you may be, no matter how much you may have advanced, that's all great and dandy, and that's just as equally as important. But you never stop training. even if you go from training 3-4 times a week, like how I started, to training only once or twice a week, training is essential. There's always room to improve. You never stop learning. I've even told my own students that, my own kids that I teach, you can always fix something, no matter how good you are or may be. With regards to working on the indies, yes, reps are important. At the same token, I do believe, I'm a big believer in terms of quality over quantity. It is okay to not take everything that is thrown at you. And the reason being is because you want to have good quality matches. So when you're ready to take that next step, you can present good quality matches, and not something that, promoter's going to look at it and be like, well, this is just a disaster. Thanks, but no thanks. You don't want to do that to yourself. So that's something I would definitely advise. Keep training no matter what. Keep working on promos. Do promos in front of your friends. If you have siblings, do it at home in front of your siblings. Get a tripod and do it on your phone and cut a 1-minute promo on whoever. It could be on your best friend. It could be on a relative. It could be on someone that you train with, and, create a fake match that's going to happen. And it may in fact happen. And that's how you practice, and then send it to your coaches for feedback and see what they think about it. It's all about tone and perception. So that's a great question that he had.
And I that's a really good answer, and we really appreciate that, because, like I said, there's a lot of people in our chat, that are inspiring wrestlers that want to learn from the people that we have talked to over the past, month or two. And I love that, you are a mentor in a sense, because, right, you're giving great advice, to people out there, inspiring. You are also a teacher, which, you're mentoring students. Who are some of your mentors, in the wrestling business that's, really, told, the things that you're telling us, who was kind of the people that, told you that, told you like, hey, you got to train, maybe got your confidence up a little bit. Who are some of your big mentors in the wrestling business?
So Devon was obviously a great person to pick his brain on a lot of things, as someone that has,
of course, yes,
years of experience that he has. On top of that, Sean Donovan, who is one of the coaches at Create a Pro in New Jersey, that whenever I come up to New York, I have the privilege of being able to drop in and train with him. He's also great. We joke all the time, but he's definitely great in terms of advising his students on training and the importance of training. And I have, buddies of mine that have actually been in the business a lot longer than I have, and I even seek to them for advice. And Jazz is another great mentor that I will send her my promos to her, and she will give me feedback on what to fix, how to fix it, and just so that to make it, as good as possible, but again, short and to the point. So there's a lot of people that play a hand in one's journey when it comes to wrestling, and there's no crime in asking 5 people, hey, can you check out my promo and tell me what you think I could fix? And yes, wrestling can be very subjective. So what may make sense to one may not necessarily make sense to the other, especially because we are more in a modern era of wrestling. At the same token, though, you should find some sort of consistency between the people that you are seeking advice from. And that's sort of how you make the connect. Okay, I have 5 coaches all telling me the same thing about this, and this is what I have to fix. And that's a pretty clear indication that it's pretty obvious on what you need to work on. So it's very important. There's no shame in picking brains of people that have more experience than you, picking the brain of, people that have been around for years.
Legends.
Yes. And
literally.
And you get there, and a lot of them actually like it. They want to see people ask them those types of questions, because that's the only way you're going to learn, essentially.
Right. That's also wisdom. You're going to get if you're going to consider yourself to be wise, you got to learn and to surround yourself with the wise people around you. You're going to go as far as your surroundings. So if you surround yourself with smart veteran people that have been there, done that, who's been through those trenches, been through those battles, and giving you an advice how to navigate those turbulent waters, you're going to come on the other side well, because you went lockstep with people that been through those different turmoils and ups and downs. And I wish someone was with me to tell me how to do this. I would have not made those mistakes by trial and error. So that's a smart and a great resource to have with all those different people impacting in your life. And also, surround yourself with smart folks that know what they want in their business. They're not there to fool around, to clown around, or backstab or politicking, because we know there's a lot of politicking when it comes to professional wrestling. But you also have you have to have a good discernment on who do you go to, and and apply. Don't just listen and not pay attention and not apply it. So I love that answer from yourself there. That was a great answer. Good insights on that. I really appreciate that one. I have a question to ask here. You've been in different parts in your career. Which company or where location did you like? What region of the country did you like enjoying wrestling? Or is it outside of the United States?
I wrestled in Puerto Rico 3 times for CWA, and
Yes.
obviously a great experience. It hits close to home considering the cultural background for me and my family. But when I went to Japan last year, I absolutely loved it, and definitely different in terms of psychology compared to how we do it here. It's totally different. So psychologically, a bigger person, you gotta break them down to get them to bump. Over there, no, you're going to bump. That's just how it
Nice.
is. And
Did you enjoy that?
I loved it. I absolutely loved Japan. Probably one of the best experiences in my life. I can't wait to go back.
And you're going back soon, am I correct?
I am. I'm supposed to be going back in August 3rd.
Hey, look at that. That's that. So you must be stoked and excited to go there. That's a great opportunity there. I love it, because we always ask that question and everyone says Japan. Most of that, but at least 85% of the talent that we have had on our show, when we said, I always ask the question, if you could go anywhere in the world to wrestle, and everyone, that's an 85% no brainer, Japan. So I'm glad that you're going to go 2 tours now, which is going to be exciting. That's awesome for it. Chris, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. You mentioned you had your 2 matches in Puerto Rico, and you said how it hit really close to home for you. We're all Puerto Rican in this live, and it's really important, because I talk about this with all of our guests. With the Puerto Rican representation, and now in pro wrestling, it's getting more accepted. I feel like it's more out there. You see it with Damian Priest, Santana, Zelina, but you didn't see it back in the day. It wasn't really a thing to be a Puerto Rican wrestler from Puerto Rico, especially up in the big companies. And I think the independent wrestlers do the best jobs of representing their culture, and Puerto Rico specifically, which is why we love doing these shows with these guests. My question for you is, with that all saying that, is how important is it for you to represent where you come from, your culture, your people, especially now that we're in a more modern wrestling community, that Puerto Rican wrestling, it's cool to be from Puerto Rico now.
It definitely holds a big place in my heart. My grandmother's from Mayagüez. All of my aunts and uncles were raised in Puerto Rico. My father's mother's from Moca. And, it's all about keeping the culture alive. I come from a very old school Puerto Rican family. So I'm sure you guys know what I mean when I say that.
Yes, ma'am.
We keep tradition alive, and it's a blessing. I'm very proud of who I am and where I come from and where my family comes from. And, it's the last time I've been to the island, it was last year. That was when I wrestled for CWA. And, just embracing the island and embracing the culture, going to the beach. And it's just, you get all these flashbacks of memories, and it tells a story. It tells a story when my grandma was living in Mayagüez, how, she was very poor, and they would walk the dirt roads with no shoes, and they would eat out of coconut bowls with their hands because they couldn't afford utensils. And, it's a story. And every family, every culture has there's something my mother used to say, there's always a story behind someone's joy. So when you think about things like that, the connection is obviously there. And I try to teach my daughter the same thing. Be proud of who you are, regardless of where you come from, and just know who you are. And it's okay to be proud of who you are, with respect to other cultures as well. And there's nothing wrong with learning about other people's cultures as well, because that's how you gain knowledge. You may find some similarities, and you may find totally different ideals, and that's okay too.
I like it.
I love that. Real quick, Kev, before you go, I got a question. Another question from somebody in the chat. He's from the UK. Have you ever wrestled? Have you ever wrestled in England?
I have not, but it is on the list, and I would like to eventually make my. I would eventually like to make my way over there.
Nice. There you go, Ethan. Soon you'll see the professor in your area. Soon, she said it here live. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, get ready. Class will be in session, so you better.
Class will be in session. Get your notebooks out, your laptops. Make sure you get straight A's.
No, I like what you were saying about la historia, nuestra cultura. Every family, every person, regardless of what culture, what race, what creed, has a story. And that's what pro wrestling is. Pro wrestling is telling a story, which is always a good versus evil, babyface, heel. For us, it's an escape as a fan. Do you feel like you escape when you're in the ring, locking in, and entertaining people in multitudes, whether it's 1 or 8 to 20,000 people? Is that something that you could relate to? Is that a high, like people look for substance, but in the ring and performing?
1,000%. So wrestling, when you're going to work, you have a job to do, but the beauty of it is that it takes your mind off of what reality is just for a minute. Even if you're in there 5 to 10, 15 minutes, whatever the time is that you have. And your sole focus is that. You're not worried about a bill that you have to pay. You're not worrying about, how late you're going to get home. You're just there and you're in the moment. And one thing that I have struggled with over the years, and it's taken me some time to finally realize this, is that, getting in my head too much, overthinking about everything going on around me, worrying about everything going on around me. And I had to teach myself, and with the guidance of other people that have been in this longer than I have, is that you're in the moment, be in the moment, and nothing else matters.
Right.
Everything else can wait. So 1,000% it's an escape from reality. And you hear it all the time. Wrestling is sometimes a saving grace for people that are dealing with so much in their personal lives, that this is the takeaway. So how do we get away from reality for the minute? Wrestling. And that's what happened with me. So when I started wrestling, it was an escape for me. Okay. My mom was sick. She was dealing with cancer. I was working out, going to the gym, doing what I normally do, but I wanted a challenge. I wanted to challenge myself, and I wanted something different. So how did I pull away from what my reality was in that moment? I threw myself into wrestling, and I became hooked. Like I said, initially it was supposed to just be a hobby, and I was going to call it a day after maybe a couple of months, but here we are.
Nice. I appreciate that story. Thank you for sharing that one, because my bond is with my grandfather. My grandfather got me into Lucha Libre back in 1984, before WrestleMania 1, and watching that and telling me about Antonio Roca, Chiqui Star, Carlito Colon, the Flares, all that different things. And now here I am, as a fan, 40 plus years now. I got my sons now watching wrestling. They're 29, 25 years old. They're watching Lucha Libre. Also now covering it now in the different, speaking about it. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be a fan, watching it and escaping, so many different things that happens in life, just I'm going to disconnect for 2 to 3 hours, and I'm going to be entertained. That's why, it kind of gets me when people want to just peel back the curtain too much. Just let us have the escape. Just have us have the escape. Let's have the enjoyment. You know, we don't worry about all that other stuff. And definitely, and you know, that's why I always appreciate all the performers. You know, no matter what, when they get in that square circle, you guys are risking bumps, bruises, you know, injuries. You know, like Chris Bay, you know, and others. And we have to appreciate that. And for me, I want to say thank you. I appreciate what you do, what you get in the ring and bump night and night. Entertain us. Now, I wanted to ask this question about the entertainment partner. Are you work as a baby face or a heel? To me, you seem like a baby face.
I've been trained where I could do whatever is needed, but yes, in 90% of the places that I have wrestled, I have worked as a baby face.
Yeah, I could tell the baby face. Now, let me ask this one. This is a challenging question. When you work in a certain crowd and you're a baby face, and I hate, because we've been trying to spotlight this and saying women's wrestling is not an opportunity to go get popcorn, to go use the restroom, or go on your phone. They're out there bumping and they're out there working their butts off. When you start seeing certain crowds to tend to lose their attention, how do you garner them as a babyface and a heel to get them back into the match? Is it just simplicity or something simple as just stopping in the middle of the ring and be like, what's going on? And then what is that? If you're peeling back the curtain, if I'm asking to peel back the curtain too much, I understand that we could pass on that question.
No, it's fine. I mean, crowd interaction is everything. And that's something that I still am learning to do and work on. You know, when I started my matches, I didn't talk a lot. I would just go in and do. And because I was slated to be perceived as this monster, big girl, whatever it is. And so me being vocal was a struggle for me. But I have learned over the years that how you keep the crowd, storytelling is the main thing, but interact with them, you know, be that jerk heel that's going to piss them off, you know, be that.
And one of your teachers was a jerk heel to piss off a lot of fans with his partner back in the day.
1000%. You know, you have to, crowd engagement is everything. You know, crowd engagement is everything, and it's part of storytelling. So that's how you keep them hooked. You know, if they get the sense that you're not interacting with them, they're not going to give a damn, and they're not going to want to connect with you, whether you're the good guy or the bad guy. So it's very important. It's something that it takes years to perfect. Some people, granted, they do it naturally, and it's a piece of cake for them. And for me, it was a struggle, and it took me some time, and I'm still working with it on how to be more interactive with the crowd.
Okay, honest, fair question there. Chris, you want to give a question?
Yeah, you know, you've been wrestling for a while. You have a great resume. You've had some pretty great matches. What are some of your favorite matches that you've had? Title matches, multi-women matches, tag matches. What are kind of some of your matches, you know, that stand out to you that you've had in your career so far?
So one of my favorite matches that I could watch on repeat is actually Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith from SummerSlam. I believe it was 92.
Wembley. Yeah. Oh, yes. Ooh, you gave me goosebumps. That's a classic. My God, you just gave me goosebumps. That was a classic. Yes.
Yeah. I truly can watch that over and over. And it's great storytelling. And if you really hone in on how they did that match, they weren't flying like a bat out of hell. They took their time and they went 30 minutes hard, you know, and that's one of my favorites. And then another one of my favorites is when Chyna and Eddie Guerrero did that segment with each other when they started being paired with each other. Just the chemistry was just so great. And, you know, it was just pure entertainment and I loved it. You know, it's she was one of my favorites growing up to watch for sure. So off the top of my head, those are I
love that, especially with the Owen and Brett, because obviously it's brother versus brother. Like, if you've had, like, you get into fights with your siblings, you know, you could really relate to that, that story, you know, so I love that one. Another question I would have, you know, what are some of your future goals? Like, you know, you've had championships before. You've won championships, correct?
Yes.
So, okay, so let me backtrack, right? When you're champion and, you know, how do you feel the type of, like, need to like represent the company or the promotion, whatever champion you are, to like your best ability. Like what I mean by that is like, when the company puts the title on you, they see you as their top talent. Like they want to market you, they want to promote you, like they're going to make money essentially off you. When you are the champion, do you essentially feel that extra pressure, or do you love that and feed into that, and does that make you better? Because those are pretty great accomplishments, and you have to take it, and there's some big responsibilities also that come with that.
I think if anything, it should be a confidence booster.
Absolutely.
Because that promoter or that promotion trusts you enough to put the faith in you that you're going to carry the women's division or even the men's division for that particular promotion in the way that it should be, that it should boost your confidence. Like, okay, I didn't think I would ever make it here, but now here we are. So if anything, that should motivate you even more to want to be better and to want to do better.
No, I agree. So some of your future goals, inside the ring going forward, is it to win more championships? Is it to get more bookings? Maybe go to places that you've never been before. What are some of your in-ring goals that you have, that you want to achieve, in the next couple months, the rest of the year?
Definitely to travel more as much as I can, put myself out there even more, gain those experiences, because one thing that people can't ever take from you is experiences. And I think it's essential. It's a privilege and a blessing if you have the ability to travel, and you should take full advantage of that. We've all done it. We've all had to drive for hours on end just to get to a booking. We've all, had to pay our own way just to get to a booking, tolls, gas, you name it, everything in between. And everybody's done it. Everybody's been through it. And I just, but the trade-off or the takeaway is it's an experience that no one can ever take from you. And the best possible outcome that you can get from that is, what did you learn from doing this show? What did you learn from facing this opponent? What do you think they perhaps learned about you? Is this a person that you perhaps would want to face again in the future or not? So things like that. It's all about experience at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I love it. Kev?
Awesome. Yes. Let me ask this question. You talked about those experiences, those opportunities. Have you ever talk to me about your opportunity? Because I just missed you on Independent. I did a review for Independence for OVW. I think you came right after that Independent show. You took on Freda the Slay. How was that one? Because you both are Amazon women. I mean, I gotta watch now. I saw the bio and I go, really? Now I'm gonna go look for that. I have to look at that clip. I definitely want to see that. Tell me that match, because you guys are almost the same height, almost.
She's a little taller than me. Freya's awesome. And, it was definitely a good opportunity to get that experience in. And I had a lot of fun with it. It was my first time in a 20-foot ring. I had never been, I'm accustomed to working in 16s and 18s, but never a 20. It was my first time. So definitely an experience. She's a hell of a competitor for sure. And nothing but great things about her. And it was definitely fun, still green in terms of working at that time. And that was like almost 2-3 years ago or something like that. And it was great. I had a lot of fun. And, she lays it in. She doesn't hold back, but that's what you're expected to do. You give it all that you got. So that's basically the outcome. But yeah, she is a little bigger than me in terms of height. She is taller than me by a few inches.
Yeah, that was definitely. When I saw that on your bio, I was like, I got to see that match. I definitely got to see that match. That was pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But I see you travel back and forth here. You were in Arizona this weekend, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
You were in Arizona. There, I see that you were in Canada, and I see all your adventures. That's a great opportunity. Your friends there. I admire that. That was cool. Your experience there, it's wonderful to see. You did wrestle in TNA for a match or two. Am I correct?
No. I was there for so what I do with them is I help facilitate their meet and greets after the show.
Oh, got you.
So yeah, I do it for all the talent. I do it for the Hardys. I do it for Tessa for those that are doing signings on that particular day. And Tessa actually did. She's wonderful. Tessa actually did a
That's his
behind the
favorite, by
scenes.
the way. That's his
Yeah,
favorite. That's his love of his life as a fan. As a fan,
she,
that's his
yeah,
favorite.
she's awesome. She really is. Tessa did a behind the scenes in Arizona of how it all goes down, and it's actually on her YouTube page. And if you watch at minute 8, you'll see a pretty special segment with me in there, which is kind
I'm
of
definitely
cool.
gonna take a look at that.
She sort of gave me my flowers for that moment, which was pretty nice. So yeah, it's definitely been a wonderful experience being a part of that with them. And who knows what it could grow to in the future. Obviously it's the end goal. I think it's pretty obvious, but I'm enjoying the ride, and it's just wonderful to interact with everybody, interact with the talent. And they're human at the end of the day, just like us. Sometimes
Yeah,
we're just having a real
Absolutely.
conversation, and it's truly been a blessing, and an answer to a prayer that I had for several years. And just to
nice.
be at this point, I can't complain.
Beautiful. It's wonderful when the guy upstairs answers and listens our prayers. We just got to be patient when and those doors. The opportunities are going to come, but we just got to know when to patient and be ready when he opens those doors, because he will do
Yeah.
it. He answers prayers, but you have to I guess as us as humans, we get a little bit impatient. But I don't want to go there because certain people get offended. But not me. I couldn't care if you get it. I just go by.
But it's the
Yeah.
truth, because it's like us as humans, naturally we want things like yesterday,
Yeah.
and it doesn't always
Exactly.
pan out that way. And that's something that I've always struggled with as well, and I've had to learn over the years. It's in his timing. It will
That's
happen.
right. That's
You know.
right. That's right. He knows when it's gonna happen. Yeah, trust me. We all struggle. I struggle with the same thing that you're going through.
Yeah.
In anything, from even podcasting to work and
Absolutely.
relationships, and I've been married for over 30 years, so ups and downs, and yeah, and then my sons, so yeah, I understand what you mean there. Absolutely with that. I appreciate that one. I've questioned Chris. You want one question?
Yeah,
We're gonna wrap up soon. We'll wrap up a little soon.
I do want another question, because again, you have a great working relationship, with TNA outside of the wrestling ring. By the way, Tessa, I love you. You are my favorite ever. You are my favorite ever. No,
He is.
but seriously, like, when you have a long in-ring career ahead of you, you're going to continue to do great things in the ring. When when eventually you on your own terms feel like I want to do a little bit more outside of it, is that something that you would be interested in the future? Could you see yourself maybe doing, you do behind the scenes stuff for meet and greets, but like, would you be like more behind the scenes? Like, would that opportunity presented to yourself after you decide to get away in ring competition, would you do that type of things going forward? Whether it's TNA, anywhere, just wrestling media, quote unquote.
Absolutely. I would never say no where I have the ability to advance my experience. There are certain things within wrestling that I feel like I haven't earned that place yet, and I want to earn it. So, for example, I know enough, and in terms of training and knowledge of wrestling and things like that. Do I want to be a coach? No. I feel like I have not earned that. Are there people that look to me for advice or critiques on certain things? Yes, on occasion I'll get, the one person that'll say, "Hey, what do you think of this promo? What do you think of this? What do you think of that?" And I'll give them my honest opinion based on what has been told to me over the years. But I won't go outside of that, because again, that's left to those that have been in it for years. But that's my personal opinion. I give them that respect. That's their realm. They earn that to be able to critique you and tell you, how you're doing match wise, promo wise, whatever it is, training wise, even. But yeah, if something in the future was ever presented to me anywhere outside of the ring, 100% I would be open to doing it.
In ring, out ring, no matter what you do, you're always gonna kill it. So I definitely look forward to more of that stuff going forward, Kev.
Absolutely. I always ask this. Let's a little fantasy booking here. I always ask all our guests here. I'm going to be the booker. I got the car. I got the pencil, the paper. I got 2 nights of WrestleMania. Night 1, you could wrestle anyone from the past to current. And then night number 2, you could wrestle someone currently from any company. It doesn't have to be WWE. It could be TNA. It could be NXT. It could be anywhere. Independent scene. Who am I booking you to wrestle those 2 nights? I'm going to make some money.
Night 1, I actually wouldn't mind wrestling Bull Nakano when she was in her prime.
Ooh, my goodness. Strong style.
Wow, yeah.
Goodness. Love it.
And night 2, if she was still here with us, probably China.
I figure you were gonna say that when you first said China and Eddie, that love story. I was like, I figured that one there. Nice choices, beautiful choices there. That was cool. Chris, you have a question? Because I have one more final question.
Yeah. Wait. So, who would someone current that you'd like to fight though? That you would like to have a match with?
Ooh.
I guess if I had a pick, I would say Gabby Forza.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She's out of Creative Pro, and she's just an all-around badass.
Nice.
And, she's the sweetest person. I've had, the privilege of being around her and in the locker room with her on several occasions. So she's just a great person, and I definitely wouldn't mind having a matchup with her for sure.
No, that's awesome. My final question for you is this: what are some of your future? Now, I already asked you about your future goals, but do you have any, upcoming event? Like, are you wrestling in the future? Upcoming weeks, months. What are some of your things that you have planned going on in the wrestling business that we should be looking forward to and excited about, and support you and cheer you on?
And we're gonna promote
the living shit out of it.
Yeah.
So for right now, my next slated match will be in Japan. I'm going to be in Pittsburgh with TNA next week.
Oh yeah, baby, PGH.
Chris, that's it. He lives in Pennsylvania, Central Pennsylvania.
Oh, nice.
That's why I'm PGH Chris, baby. 412. Let's go.
I think he wants to go, but
Yeah, so we're there next week in Pittsburgh, and obviously I'll be facilitating, the meet and greets. In terms of in-ring activity for me, I will be in Japan in August, and then August 23rd, I'm supposed to be in San Antonio wrestling at AWR, which I believe Sean Hernandez is one of the coaches there.
Nice.
So that's going to be a fun experience. And September, I'm supposed to be at Victory Pro Wrestling. I believe that's out in Long Island. So I'm constantly on the go. I'm always doing something. So as of right now, not that can't change, but that's the lineup of where it is.
Hey, summer's coming up though, right? So I guess now that school's not in session, so I guess
always in session.
I guess
She's always
summer's
yes.
oh yeah, true. No, she is always teaching. You are right. But no, that's I assume you have a really busy summer, so we can't wait to promote you and watch you thrive going forward, right, Kev?
Yes. How was that Girl Power event, by the way? Because I promoted it. I know you were doing that. How did that go? How was that card in New Jersey?
It was great. It was the inaugural first women's show for all women's show for ISPW. And it was a great time, great matches full with a lot of talented women that just showed up and showed out. And it was a great experience for sure.
And how do you like it? How did you do in your match? How did you enjoy it? Did you thought you put on a great card, a great showing?
I mean, I got my butt kicked, but sure. I
didn't ask for the results. That's why I was trying to ask, how did you, your match? Did you, I guess obviously you registered well, all the bumps, you registered the pain, you did all that. So I'm glad that, because look, at the end of the day, you were part of the inaugural card. No matter what, your name will be in history in that company's record books, and that's a great accomplishment. You were one of the pioneers to be on that card, on that show. And that was a good job there. That's why I was, I saw this, like, wow, Girl Power. And I love it that they're now not afraid to do all women independent shows. If you're there because you're going to support the women, we had this weekend in West Virginia, we had one of our ladies that joined us on an interview. She went in all women's card going this weekend, and I was like, that's great. In West Virginia as well. So they, it's awesome. I love the changing of the fans who are now, if you're going to go see women's wrestling, support it with 1,000%. I love it. And that's inspiring for it, and keep up the great work. I have one more question. How's Apollo?
Oh, he's good. He has
I'm a dog lover.
He has the cone of shame right now. And, but he's good. It had to be done. He had to get fixed. And, he's, our little Boston Terrier, Chica, is, being a great mommy to him by helping him. Yeah, she's a little older. She's the alpha female, but he's doing great. He'll be okay. He's did a lot better today up walking around. He can't go to the dog park for the next couple of weeks, which he's bummed about because he loves the park, but he's good. Thankfully, everything went well the way that it should be, and he's doing great. He's a good dog.
Good job. I had my terrier fixed 2 months ago, Asher. So so he had to get that done as well. So I know what you've been there. Yeah, I know. We have a bunch of dogs in and out of the house. So yeah, that's why I saw that. I go, yeah, dog lover. I gotta remember Apollo. I remember the name Apollo. Yeah. That's cool. I'm glad that there. But hey, we appreciate you joining us here. I know you're busy. I don't want to take too much of your time. Somos agradecidos por el tiempo que tú lo has dado, por la representación a Puerto Rico, a ser Latina. We appreciate it. We definitely thank you for joining us. You have fans here who are going to be rooting for you. Again, I tell everyone that comes on our show, you may new fans who's going to be rooting for you from the podcast, from outside the terminal. When you're in Central Florida, again, when you have bookings, I know you live here. Cuando tiene algo en sí, let me know. We'd love to go cheer you on and meet you. Hey, I was on that interview, and say, shake your hand and say, it was a pleasure meeting you. We're here to serve and help you promote, get you over. I know you don't need us, but we want to do it for our appreciation of you joining us and being giving us your time, and just hopefully it's the beginning of a beautiful friendship for many years. Gracias, Amanda. Gracias so much. Un millón de gracias.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
And of course, you saw the information there that's being scrolled underneath for wrestlers or promoters. Our booking information is there. Please do follow her on the Instagram. Absolutely, keep following her. Say hello. Don't be creepy in the DMs, please. Just be very cordial. Be nice. Support. Find out where the merch. Get some merch. Always is one thing we say. One thing that supports all independent wrestlers is their merchandise on the shows. If you see her in the show, buy a T-shirt. It doesn't cost much. Listen, if she's on any card, go take a moment. We all say that the major companies are a little expensive with their bookings and their ticket pricing. An independent show, wherever you see them, go take an opportunity and go out there and get some good wrestling there. So you see it scrolling there for a booking contest. Contact. We appreciate everyone. We thank everyone again for joining us here. Thank you so much. We appreciate all. Remember, don't let life pin you. Always kick out. Always get over. And we'll see you next time on the Heal the Ring podcast. May the sports be with you. Y que Dios lo bendiga todo. We'll see you next time.